Good morning, everyone. This is Teacher Joanna, and I will be your teacher in Social Studies. Now, before we start our lesson, let us first have these words. Are you ready? Okay, very good. So, everyone, let us have settlement. Okay, again, settlement. Next, we have establishment. Everyone, let us read establishment. And then we have capability. Everyone, let us read capability. So the words are settlement, establishment, and capability. Now, do you know the meaning of the words? Okay, so let us know the meaning of the words. So when we say settlement, everyone, a place where people establish a community. That is settlement. So again, what is settlement? Very good. That is a place where people establish a community. Okay, so when we say establishment, establishment, making or building something. That is establishment. And when we say capability, power or ability. Now, those are the meaning of the words. Now, today, we are going to talk about the changes in settlement during the Spanish period. So, what are we going to talk about? The changes in settlement of Filipino people during Spanish period. Now, are you ready to listen? Okay, very good. So if you are ready to listen, sit up straight, eyes on me, and ears on me. Okay, so let's start. So let us talk about the changes in settlement of Filipino people during the Spanish period. Okay, so the early Filipino settlements are mostly found on riverbanks and highlands. So, where can we find? Okay, where can we find the Filipino settlement back then? Mostly of the Filipino settlement back then. Where? Okay, on riverbanks and highlands. Now, remember that the settlements of Filipino back then in the Spanish period are normally scattered and far from each other. So, the houses of the early Filipinos are scattered and far away from each other. Now, this situation was a big problem for the Spaniards. Okay? That is why there was a need to reconcentrate them to make them accessible to the Spaniards. Now, what is the problem? What is the problem of the Spaniards back then regarding of the settlement of the Filipinos? Okay, the settlements or the houses of Filipinos are far away from each other, and mostly is found in on riverbanks and highlands. Now, that is the problem. That is why the Spaniards they needed to reconcentrate the Filipino people to make them accessible to the Spaniards. Do you understand? Okay, now, putting them in a reduction or in reduction was the solution. So the solution for that problem, okay, for Filipinos to be accessible for the Spaniards, they put the Filipino people in a reduction. Okay, so the reduction was the solution to that problem. Do you understand? And remember that Governor General Luis Perez Dasmariñas was ordered by the King of Spain to carry out the reduction. So who was ordered by the King of Spain to carry out the reduction? Governor General Luis Perez Dasmariñas. Okay? So Governor General Dasmariñas carry out the reduction. Do you understand? Now, teacher, what is this reduction? Okay, so when we say reduction is the establishment of a community wherein the Filipinos also prepared the people in establishing a new civil government. So that is reduction. Reduction is establishing a community. Okay, that is where we get the concept of community in reduction. Okay, again, reduction is the establishment of a community wherein the Filipinos also prepare themselves or prepare the people in establishing a new civil government. Do you understand? This time, the Spaniards govern us. Do you understand me? Okay, now, the capability of preparing the Filipinos for a civil government was placed on a different religious orders like Augustinian, Dominicans, Franciscans, and Jesuits. Okay? Now, remember that Spanish is a Catholic, they introduced Catholicism, okay, to the Filipino people. Now, the capability of preparing the Filipinos for a new civil government was placed in different religious order. Okay, so what are those order? We have the Augustinians, we have the Dominicans, we have the Franciscans, and we have the Jesuits. Okay, and then assigning a reduction to the missionaries made it also a doctrine. Okay? A doctrine or the place where the people are baptized and were facilitated the teaching of Catholicism. Now, this required the missionaries to live with the natives in the doctrines and build a convent beside the church, which became the community center. Now, in a reduction, the church is in the center. Do you understand me? Now, what is a doctrine, everyone? A place where the people are baptized and were facilitated the teaching of Catholicism. Now, who are baptizing the Filipino people? The missionaries. Do you understand? Okay, that is why these missionaries were required to live with the natives in the doctrines. Do you understand? And these missionaries built a convent beside the church. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you a picture of a reduction, okay, or a community. Okay, that community, okay, that is the picture. As you can see, there is a church at the center of the community. Do you understand? And as you can see, the houses are not far away from each other anymore. Okay, in a reduction, the houses are near from each other. Do you understand? And what is in the center of a reduction? The church. Do you understand me? Okay, very good. Now, the natives were invited to build their houses around the church. Okay, so who were invited to build their houses around the church? The native, okay, or the Filipino people. Now, that is another picture of a reduction. Okay, there's the church, okay, and the houses around it. Okay, remember that the Filipinos were invited to build their houses around the church. Now, this time, the community, the houses are not far away from each other. The problem was solved because of reduction. Now, the Spanish soldiers, okay, however, were not allowed to live with the natives in the reduction. Okay, so this was because of the bad behavior shown by the conquistadores, which caused harm to Filipino residents. Now, the people who lived with the natives are only the missionaries and the clergy. Okay? No other Spaniards stayed with the natives aside from those two. Only the missionaries and the clergy. Soldiers are not allowed because they cause harm to Filipino residents. Do you understand me? Again, what is a reduction? Okay, so a reduction is the establishment of a community wherein the Filipinos also prepared themselves, okay, to establish a new civil government. Okay, a community centered by the church. Do you understand me? So remember that reduction solved the problem of the Spaniards. Okay, regarding to the kind of houses, okay, of the Filipino people back then. Do you understand? Now, let us talk about the types of houses of Filipinos. Okay, the very famous Bahay Kubo. Okay, the Bahay Kubo or Nipahat of Filipinos before the Spaniards came continued to be the house of common tao or common people or ordinary Filipinos. Now, even if the Spaniards came here to the Philippines, Nipahat or Bahay Kubo continued to be the house of common or ordinary Filipinos. Do you understand me? Okay, so what is the common house? What is the house of common people or common tao or ordinary Filipinos? Bahay Kubo. Now that is a picture of a Bahay Kubo. It is just made of leaves and bamboos and lumber, okay? Just made of woods. Okay, a simple house called Bahay Kubo. Okay, so the other type of house, but this time, this house was introduced by the Spaniards. Okay, but this house was introduced only for the wealthy Filipinos. Now, that is what we call the Bahay na Bato. Bahay na Bato is a new type of house that was introduced by the Spaniards for the wealthy Filipinos. Wealthy, okay? Only the wealthy Filipinos. This was the Bahay na Bato, patterned after the Antillean style. Okay, Bahay na Bato was patterned after the Antillean style. Now, the structure was a square or rectangular made of hardwood like nara, yakal, and mulave. And red tiles were used for the roof. Okay, there was an azotea in front of the house. There were rooms like comedor, kusina, and balkonahe. Now, the windows are made of kapis and underneath are small ventanillas. Okay, that is the Bahay na Bato. Now, the two types of houses during the Spanish period are Bahay Kubo and Bahay na Bato. Now, Bahay Kubo is the house of common tao or ordinary Filipinos. Well, Bahay na Bato is Bahay na Bato is the house of wealthy Filipinos. Do you understand me? Okay, now I have here question. Now my first question is, what is reduction? Okay, so what is reduction, everyone? Reduction is establishment of a community wherein Filipinos also prepare themselves in establishing a new civil government. Okay, that is reduction. Now, who was ordered by the King of Spain to carry out reduction? Governor General Luis Perez Dasmariñas. Now, there are people that are allowed to live with the natives. And who are they? The missionaries and the clergies. Now, who are the people who are not allowed to be with the natives because they cause harm to the Filipino? Okay, the soldiers. Okay. So those are my questions. Now, what did you learn today? Today we have learned about changes in settlements of Filipino people during the Spanish period. Now, back then, the houses of Filipinos are far away from each other. Now, it became a problem to the Spaniards. That's why they carry out reduction. Okay? Now, reduction is the establishment of a community wherein the Filipinos also prepared themselves to establish a new civil government. Now, reduction was the solution to the problem of the Spaniards. Okay, for the Filipino people to be accessible for the Spaniards, they carry out this reduction. Do you understand? Okay, so there are two types of houses during that period. We have the Bahay Kubo and the Bahay na Bato, wherein Bahay Kubo is the house of common tao or ordinary Filipino, while Bahay na Bato is the house of wealthy Filipino. Okay, so if you really did understand the lesson, then let us proceed to your practice exercise, wherein you are going to answer Think It Over, letter A, page 166. That is your practice exercise. And here is your evaluation, wherein you're going to answer Think It Over, letter B, page 167. Now, don't forget to do your practice exercise and your evaluation because I am going to check it. Now, here is your assignment. What is reduction? Don't forget to do your assignment because I'm going to check it as well. Do you understand? Okay, so thank you for listening. See you in the next video. Bye-bye!